Whether you host a nightly dinner party for 2 or 5, keeping your eating and dining area clean helps keep your mind on the dinner party and not on the cleanup afterwards. Viva paper towels clean like cloth, trapping splatters and sauces that could become countertop stains or stuck on messes, and they're 2 times more durable when wet compared to the leading value brand. For an exceptional cloth-like paper towel, there's Viva. Visit vivatowels.com to soak up the clean feeling of home.
Hello and welcome to Murder Dictionary Podcast. My name is Brianna and that is Courtney.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode. Before we get into the case that we're going to talk about today, we always want to remind you that there's a handful of things that you can find every week in our show description. You can find links to our social media if you want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so that you can get updates on new episodes, some memes, some breaking news, some true crime info, and we've got links to our Threadless if you want merch. You can get t-shirts, mugs, phone cases, towels, totes, a bunch of different stuff on Threadless. And we have links to some resources for some self-help organizations, some 12-step organizations, Trevor projects, anti-bullying stuff, suicide hotlines. If you need any help, definitely we've got some links for you. We also have links to the resources that we use to research each case. So if you want to read up a little bit more, if you want to know where some of the information comes from, you can follow the links in our show notes. And lastly, we have links to our Patreon. So patreon.com/Murder Dictionary Podcast. You can get early release episodes, ad-free episodes, bonus content, a bunch of perks and stuff. So we are on patreon.com/Murder Dictionary Podcast. And we want to say thank you before we get into our story to the people that are now supporting the show on Patreon. Our new patrons are Kelly, Penelope, Joseph, and Marcia. So thanks, you guys. We appreciate your support.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah, everybody that listens, everybody that leaves a positive review, everybody that supports Patreon or posts in our Facebook group and all that interaction, we see it, we appreciate it, and we really love you guys and appreciate your support of the show. So thank you. So with all that said, we are still on letter Q. And we are covering quarantine murders. So these are really recent cases. They don't have a verdict, any closure, a trial, or anything like that, which is really rare for Murder Dictionary. But we're still going to cover them because all the ones that we're choosing are pretty open and shut cases. There's not much mystery involved.
Yeah, not a lot of speculation here.
Right.
But we do have to say, allegedly, case is still open.
Definitely. We've got to be a little bit sensitive about the fact that they have not been convicted. However, as we know, since you're only spending time with a small group of people, and a lot of these cases, people are leaving a lot of clues and breadcrumbs around so that we are able to trace who did what when. We're definitely covering cases that happened during the quarantine that are, like I said, open and shut, very straightforward cases that are pretty much just solved and they're waiting for trial. So, but allegedly, You're right. We should say allegedly.
Yes. And I began to refer to this one specifically as the Quaran-teens, as it involves teenagers.
Yes.
So this is the case of the Quaran-teens. I just thought that was fun. That's all. That's all I got.
Your little cute name for it. I get it.
I try.
It's perfect.
I thought so.
So we're going to start with Beth Potter, who was born in 1968, and she spent her childhood in Illinois. She attended Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois, where she studied French and literature.
May we?
Right? I'm impressed. Mm-hmm. So throughout her life, she had a love for language that greatly helped her later in her chosen career. Friends remembered her for her, quote, eclectic wardrobe, punk hairstyle, and how she stood out without seeking attention.
Great description of someone.
Honestly, it sounds so complimentary without the usual thing of, oh, she's beautiful and she lit up a room. It paints a picture of who this person is. I can see this person, you know?
Yeah. Stood out without seeking attention is great.
It's a really great description and says a lot, I think, about her character. She was also a cross-country skier. She played tennis and really liked ping pong. Which is an interesting hobby. I think everyone, I don't know anybody that doesn't like ping pong, but it is notable that she's like, no, she really likes ping pong.
Yeah, it was specific to her college days, which is funny because we, beer pong, right?
Right.
Nope, ping pong.
Yeah, so cute. I think that's pretty adorable. So Knox College is also where she met her future husband, soccer player Robin Carr. A friend recalls that after they all attended a party, Robin asked him for Beth's phone number, but he actually forgot to give it to him, not once, but twice. So clearly Robin was really seeking this out, and the friend just kept dropping the ball, and he was just trying anywhere to get this cute girl's phone number that he really liked.
He was really into her.
Absolutely, from the very beginning. He was so taken with Beth that somehow he actually found another way to get her number from somebody else. So he was being resourceful. For
some reason, this doesn't feel weird. I don't know why, but him going around and getting it from some, I had to go here. It, for some reason, comes off romantic to us with this. But in other cases, we may be like, he's a freak. What a psychopath, right?
Yeah, I think that this is something where in certain situations, or let me say in a lot of situations, I'd probably think, okay, this is stalker behavior. This is a little unsettling. But for some reason, I can kind of envision, when you're hearing these stories, you kind of picture it or you put the whole pieces together. And it seems to me like maybe it was just two shy people that met and really hit it off. And there just wasn't that moment where they could exchange information. It just kind of passed by. And it was something that instantly was like, I want to get in touch with her. And she probably felt the same way, but was just too reserved to give out her information. I'm questioning whether he likes me, so I'm not going to offer my phone number. I think he knew that she wanted to see him again, just like he wanted to see her.
I agree.
That's the feeling I get. Robin also spoke French, which was one of the ways that the two of them initially connected. His brother actually ran a tour company that hosted and drove French people all over the southwest of the U.S., so Robin was able to really easily converse with Beth or anybody in French. Beth then went to medical school at Rush Medical College in Chicago, while her and Robin continued to date. Eventually, Beth and Robin got married, then moved to Madison, Wisconsin. She did her residency in family medicine at University of Wisconsin. Then, in 1999, she became a faculty member. Robin got a PhD in philosophy. Then, in 2014, he opened his own business as an independent educational consultant.
It sounds made up.
Yeah,
but
right.
It's real.
It is, absolutely. It's real, and not only that, but it's something that really helps people. It's his mission to kind of make a difference in young people's lives and help people get educations. So it is a real job, and it's actually a really admirable job. Basically, he specialized in helping high school students and their parents navigate the challenging college admission process. So, and not in that way of, Operation Varsity Blues with Aunt Becky, not in an illegal way. He was actually just helping people who are undertaking this process that's kind of scary and stressful, and you don't know how to do it. And he was a consultant that would help families navigate how to apply and get the best results from their applications and get into the schools that they wanted to get into. But all above board, nothing illegal.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to clarify that nowadays.
Yeah, you kind of do. College admissions, that world is rough.
Yes.
Especially if you've got a list of schools and all that good stuff. So to have somebody, it makes perfect sense. Like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and make an appointment with this guy. We'll just see what he has to say. Maybe he has some tips, He might not even have been, doing all the paperwork, but just really doing these, guideline appointments, which, that's great, college counselor. But, he actually could help you and not just say, you're going to fill this out and mail it in. He'll help you do the paperwork. You can come to the office and fill it out with him, which is pretty cool.
Right, absolutely. There's a lot of kids, I don't know what everybody's experience is, but I know most people I know and myself really didn't have much guidance from anybody in our high school helping us with getting into college. They were kind of just like, okay, you should really apply to colleges. Here's some deadlines. Go do it. And so with him, he can, like you said, he's the person that's the expert. He knows what information that the families need. He knows how to navigate the process and give them all the steps and the guidelines. He's the expert in it. And he's an ally and an advocate for these kids who want to take that next step, but just don't know how. So, I think that it's really admirable what he was doing. He seemed like he just really loved kids and wanted to make a difference in their lives and help them. Robin was extremely passionate about helping kids, so he was also a coach and the director for the Regent Soccer Club. Beth and Robin had 3 children, 2 boys named Ezra and Jonah, and then an adopted daughter named Miriam, who they called Mimi. Over time, Beth found her calling as a family medicine physician and began working at the Wingra Family Medical Center. Her workplace was located on campus of the University of Wisconsin, and the hospital was run by their Department of Family Medicine and Community Health. Colleagues recall that she could often be found on her lunch break sitting on the bench in the outdoor arboretum of the UW campus.
It's pretty cool that you can just go to lunch break in an outdoor arboretum.
Yeah, it was just a little special, calm spot. I'm sure that all day long, being a doctor, is just so stressful. And that was her way of just sitting out there, breathing, having some calm down time, and doing self-care, basically. Beth was multilingual and fluently spoke both French and Spanish. Her fluency in multiple languages made her just a priceless asset in treating patients from diverse backgrounds. Beth was able to provide clarity for some of the non-English speaking patients that her fellow doctors just weren't able to speak with and care for because of the language barrier.
So many patients that saw her that English was not their first language, and they met her and they just adored her. And she had lifelong patience just because she could communicate with them, which I just think that's really cool.
Absolutely. It really does warm my heart because, you and I both have medical issues, and knowing that you're seeing a doctor that's not really speaking your language, and I just mean in the sense of explaining things to you in layman's terms, like that's hard enough. Thinking of walking into a situation with our health issues and not even speaking the same language as my doctor is just absolutely terrifying. And it was just such a powerful thing for people to be able to have an open dialogue with a doctor, because so many of the other doctors in the area just weren't able to really get their information and ask or answer their questions, or, really treat them with all the information because they didn't speak the same language. So she really had a special skill of not only being multilingual, but also just having so much compassion as well.
Yeah, I agree. She was special.
Yes. By all accounts, just everyone said how kind and special and loving and caring she was.
Yeah.
In 2016, she was named the Medical Director of Employee Health Services for UW Health. She became a highly respected teacher and mentored hundreds of students throughout her years at the facility. Her teaching focused on evidence-based medicine, wellness, women's health, and how emerging technologies can be used today to advance medical education. In her free time, she pursued her interest in spirituality by studying to become a Zen priest.
She had a friend who said that, if you knew her, you knew so much about her. She was such a nice person. But then you got to know, there was an entire other side of her, that she's studying to be a Zen priest. And you just didn't really expect that. And it was one of the things about Beth, it was like the layers. You peel the onion, and there's always something more interesting there.
Yeah, absolutely. She seems like she's just got a hand on everything. She's got so many interests, and she's doing all these things at once. She's capable of being, a businesswoman, a doctor, top in her field, but also she's a mom. She's taking care of her kids. She's a wife. She's also becoming a Zen priest. She's interested in a spiritual quest. I mean, I think that's really powerful and speaks to just how focused and dedicated and driven and very, unique and diverse just within herself. All her interests are really impressive.
Yep.
In 2017, she was part of a pilot program that held group therapy visits for patients suffering from chronic pain. While other doctors were treating these patients' physical needs, the group therapy setting allowed people to basically just share their experience with their peers and share their pain management strategies. It was also an outlet that helped patients who basically just felt alone battling their condition to just socialize with peers who understood what they were going through and could offer support to each other.
That was probably such a successful program for the people that were in it, and they might not have even known it at the time, but looking back, what a wonderful way to treat that, because they can bounce ideas off each other, and if nothing else, you're out of your home and you're thinking about something else. Even if you're still talking about it, you're not thinking about the pain you're in that second.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I think it's incredibly powerful because being in pain, having health issues is so incredibly isolating. And it's so emotionally painful to endure physical pain on a daily basis. So just being able to get together with a group of people that understand what you're going through, that speak the same language, and just can understand right away. If you say something, they're like, yes, that's my experience too. It really, I think, is a powerful thing. And Beth spearheaded this movement so that all these people could have mutual support and could have this group therapy that I think is just completely invaluable. I just can't imagine how powerful that experience is.
Yeah.
Robin and Beth's daughter, Miriam, or Mimi, attended Madison West High School and had a boyfriend who was an 18-year-old high school senior named Khari Sanford. Khari was the oldest of 6 children who was very social and very active in various school activities. Most students knew him because he was a stellar athlete who had been a receiver and captain of the football team since his freshman year.
I mean, for high school football, that's pretty good. You're a freshman, captain, lead receiver. Oh, it's great. It's great. Star quarterback, freshman, that kind of thing. Receiver, oh, he's great. Pretty big deal.
He's got to be a really amazing athlete to have that in his freshman year. So it's pretty impressive, and everybody knew him for it.
If nothing else, it'll make you popular, that's for sure.
Right. Even if you can't go pro, I mean, you're going to have a lot of friends.
You can tell everyone about it the rest of your life, too.
Right, exactly.
The Al Bundy, if you will. Polk High.
For reasons unknown, Khari's mother, Ronetta Sanford, was not his primary caregiver. He had been in foster care, but Khari was so determined to work towards having a bright and successful future, despite this difficult upbringing that he had. Khari had been a Wanda Fulmore intern during the summer of 2019 and did his internship in the Madison City Council office. He was the vice president of the Black Student Union, or BSU, and he planned to major in political science and African American history. He was eagerly awaiting responses from multiple colleges that he had applied to.
This kid is on a track. He wants to go to college. He's got everything leading up to it. I hate to say guarantee, but I almost guarantee you that Robin was instrumental in this, that he was waiting for these responses.
100%. That's exactly the first thing I thought was, oh, he applied to a bunch of colleges. He must have had Robin's help. I mean, I just can't imagine that Miriam's father wouldn't help her boyfriend. They seem like they were a tight-knit family. It seems like he was interacting with them quite frequently, and that's Robin's mission. So, of course, he would help him. Especially since he's got so much going for him with his athletics and his extracurriculars and everything,
Yeah, definitely. It's not like they have to make something out of nothing. He's got stuff to put on an application.
Absolutely. Although Khari was clearly very driven and he was very focused on his goals, he was also a typical teenager who sometimes had trouble being responsible and could also be a bit rebellious. His fellow interns say that he was immature and hard to track down when they had to have meetings. In late 2019, while Khari's foster parents went on a trip to Africa, they left Khari alone at the home where he'd been living with them. While they were away, he disabled their home security system, stole their car, and was later arrested when he was found sleeping inside the stolen car.
So frustrating, because we were all rooting for you, Khari.
Yeah, it's so
sad.
much. Yeah, he just sounds like such an amazing kid and everything was going right. And then all of a sudden it was just like, what did you go and do that for? Like, come on. You're so close to being out.
Yeah.
You're getting to that age where like all you have to do is hold it together a little bit longer and then you're off to college.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because now, a lot of people, like his mother, his biological mom, tries to say that, this was all just a great big misunderstanding. Of course, like, oh, this was just, they said he could take the car. They said it'd be fine. But they still called the police. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Obviously, okay. It was an issue.
Yeah, maybe there was a misunderstanding about he knew the alarm code. Maybe that's the misunderstanding. I'm not sure. But there's definitely no misunderstanding that they did call the police and sought for charges.
Right. Absolutely.
Deck the halls with gifts of scratchers, scratchy, scratchy, scratch, 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 scratch. 'Tis the season to be grateful. Givey, givey, give. Don your friends with cheery faces. Grinny, grin, grinny, grin, 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 grin.
Give the gift of Grinny, Grin, Grin. This holiday, give the gift of scratchers from the California Lottery. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 or older to purchase. Player claim.
Deck the halls with gifts of scratchers, scratchy, scratchy, scratch, 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 scratch. 'Tis the season to be grateful. Givey, givey, give. Don your friends with cheery faces. Grinny, grin, grinny, grin, 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 grin.
Give the gift of Grinny, Grin, Grin. This holiday, give the gift of scratchers from the California Lottery. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 or older to purchase. Player claim.
Apparently, Khari also had a fascination with weapons. And around this time, there were cell phone pictures taken of Khari holding a Glock handgun pointed at the camera. So I don't know. I mean, it's a little disturbing. There's something going on there. And maybe it's just as simple as he's just kind of sick of being the good guy athlete and he wants to do something a little outside the box. I don't know. He's trying to be the bad boy or something. And maybe it's all for show. There's just no way to know what was going through his head. But it seems like around this time, there was just kind of a series of events that made it seem like he was having a little bit of a rough time keeping his squeaky clean history going,
Yeah, it seems like starting in around the summer of 2019 forward, there's some issues. And it's not really clear, exactly what, but it is safe to say that he was not good with being the athlete or the smart guy, or that he definitely wanted to also be like, street cred. Just a little bit of something a little more salacious than freshman captain of the football team.
Right. It's just a little too squeaky clean for him.
Yeah, I think so.
And there's also the possibility, and maybe we'll find out more in the trial. I mean, I think sometimes, especially when kids go through a rough upbringing and he's in this foster home, there's a possibility something happened with his mom, like he thought that he was going to be back in his mom's care. And then whatever the situation is with her, she wasn't able to take care of him. Something could have happened in the foster home. It could have happened with his biological parent. We don't know, but it seems like something was going awry around this time, whether he was just sick of being on the straight and narrow or if there was something emotional going on and he was acting out. Yeah. But clearly there was a change. In February 2020, he was accepted into a deferred prosecution program in relation to those auto theft charges from his foster parents. According to his Facebook, as recent as March 2020, he had been selling video games and consoles online to make money. As we all know, of course, the pandemic and the ensuing chaos started to reach every American city starting around this time in February. And then by March, everyone was formulating their quarantine plans for their families. So Robin and Beth had special circumstances to consider, since Beth actually had an immune disorder and she took a medication that made her at greater risk of infection. The initial information coming out about the pandemic caused a lot of people in high-risk groups like Beth to begin working from home or take time off hoping the coronavirus would pass quickly and that things would get back to normal. Being in the medical community, though, Beth was in a difficult situation. And although everyone at her work, of course, began taking all the precautions, their entire family was concerned and taking the situation very seriously, knowing that Beth was at such a high risk. Robin began self-quarantining just absolutely immediately, and he was hoping to keep his wife healthy. As a medical practitioner, Beth understood the circumstances well, and she took it to heart, and she began a very strict quarantine lifestyle. Since Beth had a compromised immune system, her and Robin decided that it would be best for their family members to adhere to any and all CDC advice. With Beth being high risk, it had to be the family's priority to keep her healthy. And since social distancing was required, they were going to support her as a family and follow all the safety recommendations and guidelines. So Robin and Beth decided that their family should all quarantine at their house without any exposure to anyone other than their immediate family members.
I mean, this was like a meeting, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to play it. Mom can get sick. You know that. You understand that. You love your mother. Therefore, we as a whole are going to take care of your mom. And it's that simple.
Right.
And that's it. That's all we're doing now. I mean, we all did this in February and March,
Of course, because it's kind of like most of us had one loved one at least that had some sort of compromised issue. You know what I mean? Like if you have elderly grandparents, if you have some sort of immunosuppression yourself, or let's say high blood pressure, diabetes, any of these quote unquote pre-existing conditions, like if you have something going on, we all know someone that's like that, So we all kind of took it to heart and thought, what are we going to do, not just for ourselves, but to make sure that this doesn't affect the people we love? And so they, made a plan like everybody was doing around that time to just really be strict and isolate, take all the precautions, and make keeping Beth safe a priority. And it had to be a family goal and objective. It had to be a plan that everybody adhered to. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So Miriam's boyfriend, Khari, had also been living in the Pottercar family home since December 2019. So he was expected, of course, to follow the same exact rules that everybody else quarantining in the house was following. And first of all, this is probably a sidebar that we don't need to go into, but I'm going to say it. I am very uncomfortable with anyone who lets their teenager have their significant other stay with them. Is that something, am I tripping?
No, and I want to be cool and be like, oh no, I totally, but no, you're right. There's something, not a good idea. And there's got to be, obviously, he's in foster care. He's spending a ton of the time with this family already. Like, I kind of see how this situation happened. Doesn't really make it okay. But then you throw in pandemic, and it's the perfect, how this could happen. Completely see it. But he was already living there since December, and I'm with you. I would not allow my my daughter is 17. She's a minor.
Right.
And her boyfriend is 18, and now I'm going to let him live here.
It
No.
just doesn't sit with me right. And maybe
neither.
I'm old-fashioned.
We
I
are.
don't know. Maybe I'm prude. I don't know.
We are.
But like, I can't imagine going to my parents as a 17-year-old and being like, hey, so I'm dating this person. You know this person. I think they should just live here now.
He spends the night all the time anyway. He might as well just have a parking space.
That just
Is that how it
doesn't make
goes?
sense to me.
Me neither.
That's
His
so
bike. Yeah, he can lock his
unbelievable.
bike up in our garage now. Is that okay? I don't get it either.
So I don't know, like it just seems like they're incredibly lenient parents to begin with. And I'm on board with so many of the things that they're doing. I'm not trying to shit on them. I think they're great people working towards really amazing things for their community and a lot of the kids around them. But I just think this is not a decision that I would have made for my child.
No.
It just doesn't seem right. I think that this is exactly how all the seasons of 16 and pregnant start.
You said it. I was already thinking it.
Yeah.
It's also one of those, like, okay, so you sit down and you're like, okay, we promise he's going to follow all the rules and it's all gonna be... But it's like you're still talking to a 17-year-old kid and today they say this, but tomorrow it's like, oh, well, we didn't mean it anyway when we said that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Right.
So it's not even like you can say follow rules because you know it's not going to work out. Like it might be great today, but tomorrow it's not going to work.
Right. And I can totally understand the instinct of, you know, if I know someone's in foster care and, you know, the foster system is not working for them, it's hurting them, I would definitely be like, okay, come stay with us. But I would try and make some arrangement where they're not staying in the same room or like, I don't know, something.
Okay. Not only that, you've got two other male children in the house who, this is their example, that this is okay.
Right.
And then you've also got the fact that this kid, it's a very bizarre decision because you know that he's been kicked out and charged by his foster parents. And then instead it's like, oh no, we can't just let him, you know, learn from his actions and maybe have to live on the street or find another place to live. No, go ahead and come in here and you know, be safe while we get through all your, you know, proceedings. It's a very strange time to allow someone to come into your home unless he has nowhere else to go and it is framed to you that way.
Right. I can definitely see Robin and Beth thinking or being told that he has no other option.
Yes.
And them giving in to that. But I just don't feel comfortable with it. You know, I think that that was a really bad decision. And especially in light of his issues with the law and behavioral problems, like a punishment and consequences are needed when something like that happens.
Yes.
Not just from the law, but just as a parent. So, you know what? You messed up. Why don't you do X, Y, and Z, and we will reevaluate this situation in a month from now. You know what I mean? Like, let him earn it. But instead, it just seems so easy for him to be like, oh, well, things are going well over there because they say that I stole the car, so I'm going to come hang out here. And then he's now sleeping in her bedroom. Not even with one of the brothers, but sleeping in her bedroom. Not on the couch. I mean, that doesn't make sense, and I think it's just a bad call. And all these amazing things they're doing, it doesn't take away from that, but I think this is an instance where they made a mistake.
I agree.
And I just think, it's worth pointing out that I don't think that was the right way to handle this situation.
No.
So even though Khari and Mimi were supposed to follow the same rules as everybody else, they'd all figured it out as a family and they were trying to keep Beth safe. The problem was that the two of them had decided that they were just not going to follow her parents' social distancing guidelines. Miriam and Khari both continued to come and go from the house, still socializing with friends and having no concern for anyone else's health or safety. Despite the fact that Beth and Robin were just very supportive of Khari's future goals, and helped him in any way that they could with college plans, he seemed not only ungrateful, but actually flat out disrespectful.
I believe it.
It's just so disappointing because we know that they were so helpful to him, and he just turns around and is like, basically, I don't give a fuck if you live or die.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And that's exactly how it's like explained by her friends, people around that, you know, they gave you a place to live, and just the disrespect was off the charts.
That's just terrible. In fact, there actually had been many problems in the home regarding their teenage relationship, even before he moved in with them, which makes it even more baffling that they said he could move in.
Mm-hmm.
Family turmoil and arguments became extremely common, and despite Beth's efforts to put on a brave face, people could see that she was pretty stressed and anxious all the time. Beth shared with family and friends that she was having real trouble with her daughter Miriam, and she didn't know what to do long term about Khari living there. She had previously expressed to people that she felt like Khari was blatantly disrespectful to her, but because her health was at risk, now she just had to take action and do something about it. Due to Miriam and Khari's lack of respect for the rules in her home, Beth decided to essentially kind of kick them out, but in the nicest way possible. And again, this is an instance where I just think they were too soft. I think, you know, you've again got to have consequences. If you're not following the rules, then you have to go back to your home.
Yeah.
And she has to be grounded or something. You know, there's got to be some sort of consequences for not taking the safety precautions that are necessary in a fucking pandemic.
Yeah. And I mean, the option that she comes up with is something that would never have entered my brain as an option. Right. It is no option. The option is you stay in the goddamn house, or you get the hell out and go somewhere else.
Right.
Those
it doesn't
are your
make
options.
Sense. So basically, she decided that the only option was to rent them an Air BnB apartment for the teen couple to stay in together, while Beth and Robin would just remain at the family home with their two other children who were actually following the quarantine protocol. And this really does sound like the plot of a kid's movie, right?
Yeah, it sounds like Blank Check.
Yeah.
I mean, in many ways.
It just seems like this is how a lot of comedies, this is how, like, you know, Superbad Part 2 would start.
Yeah, definitely.
So basically, it's like their parents are rewarding them for not following the rules.
Yeah.
They're basically getting extra privileges and this sweet little crash pad for doing the wrong thing and not listening and not protecting their family members. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Mm-mm. On top of getting them their own place to stay, they also even gave the couple the keys to their white Volkswagen minivan for them to use while they were staying at the Air BnB. And this is really just, it's a teenage dream for every angsty teen girl with a boyfriend, getting to play house with no responsibilities to anyone, no job to go to. You can just hang out and just chill with your boyfriend all day and night. And you know that they had money given to them, a gas card. There's just no responsibility. They just get everything handed to them. And that's just no way for them to learn how to be healthy adults.
No, they're never going to learn anything from this, except that mom will take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
if
I don't
have
even
a problem,
have to be nice to her. I don't even have to like her. I don't even have to talk nice things. I don't even have to lie and say, hello, good morning, how are you? I can just be like, hey, bitch, I'm taking your car and going here with my boyfriend. Like, oh my God, that worked.
Yeah. Absolutely. They don't even have to follow the rules. They don't have to be respectful. They don't have to do anything. They could be on their absolute worst behavior and be completely disrespectful and disregard the safety of others and still get rewarded for it.
100%.
It just doesn't make sense. So just before Madison West High was closed due to COVID-19, another student had overheard a conversation between Miriam and Khari during ceramics class. They were discussing various ideas of how they could get some money quickly. And apparently that's just crazy to me because they already have a place to stay, a car, and if they need more money, it seems like they just want to go shopping. They want to have a wild shopping spree, post a bunch of new items on Instagram or some bullshit.
This is totally done for the gram. 100%.
Yeah.
That is what
it's
this
just
is.
Incredibly privileged to me.
So they can take a video of Miriam throwing bills in the air and like buy Dom Perignon or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like this is a rap video is what they're wanting to envision. Like for real. That's where this is going.
Right. They want to live out some, I don't know, just rich fantasy, and it doesn't make sense. It really is disturbing that they've got everything. They've got all the privilege and they're still not satisfied. The witness heard Miriam tell Khari that her parents had bands of money around their house, which of course Khari took to mean that they kept thousands in cash just lying around their home.
For this, you can directly thank Juicy J. Because there is a song called Bands Make Her Dance. And it's all about just throwing money at strippers, right? Throwing money at strippers. Bands. Thousands of dollars, according to Khari, is a band. Bands Make Her Dance, right? Thank Juicy J for this rap video idea that he has come up with. Straight up. Because as soon as she says, oh, there's bands in my house, they instantly go to $1,000. Oh my God. You know, it becomes this whole other thing.
Right. They're like, this is the ideal that we want to live with. We want to get all this money and do whatever we want, buy whatever we want. And that's it. Nothing else matters. Nobody's safety, you know, your family, your loved ones, none of it matters. It's just about getting the money.
Yeah.
On Monday, March 30th at about 5:30 p.m., Beth and her friend, who anonymously goes by LG, went for a social distance walk basically around the neighborhood. On their walk, Beth vented a bit to her friend about kind of this hard time she was having with Miriam during the pandemic. She said that when she moved out, Miriam had told her things like, "You don't care about me, you don't talk to me," while Khari remained silent. Beth told LG that all the teen couple did was just sit in her bedroom. They ordered food and they just barely spoke to Beth or Robin.
I mean, yeah, you gave teenagers keys to the kingdom. What do you think they were going to do? Write a book and crack the atom? Are you kidding me? They're ordering Postmates, staring at each other, playing video games.
Right. LG said she thought there were darker things going on in the home, but Beth really just didn't get more specific than that. She didn't tell her specifically what she thought was happening. Her friend recalls that Beth seemed frustrated, which was uncharacteristic since she didn't really get frustrated very often. So clearly she was really struggling with this. She was stressed out. She didn't know what to do. And she was trying to just find a solution that made it work and made her family okay, you know?
Showtime presents the new limited series, Your Honor.
Dad, I hit somebody and I left him there.
Starring Bryan Cranston.
Don't tell anyone. I can keep you safe if no one hears about it.
There are some truths worth lying for.
Oh, who did this?
The city is waiting. Send a message.
What have you got me into here, Michael?
I need more time.
I can't do it, Dad, any of this.
You have to, or we die.
Your Honor premieres December 6th on Showtime.
What can help you take advantage of today's low mortgage rates and save money? Rocket can. You could save hundreds of dollars every month by refinancing with Rocket Mortgage at today's near historic low rates. If your current rate is over 4%, you could lower your payment by over $150 a month, saving thousands in interest every year. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Savings are based on Quicken Loans, internal data. Points and fees may apply. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
On the evening of March 30th, Khari and Miriam's mutual friend, 18-year-old Elijah Larrue, came to the Air BnB. Elijah was a cashier at Hollister, and he had no criminal record or really any record at all. Around 10 p.m., Khari and Elijah drove the borrowed van to Beth and Robin's house, and they circled the neighborhood a few times to look around before they pulled over and parked in front of the house. Beth and Robin were either at this point getting ready for bed or in bed at the time, since she was actually in her pajamas and he was just in his underwear. Khari and Elijah gained entry to the home, and at gunpoint, they dragged the couple out from their bed. The two teens began threatening to kill Beth and Robin if they didn't give them the thousands of dollars in cash that they supposedly kept in their home.
It'd be one thing if they were both strangers, because Elijah is just like a kid. They don't know him. But to see the face, Khari, the kid that you have allowed to move in, holding a gun to you, telling you to give him your money. I swear to God, I can't, we always say, oh, I can't imagine. This one is just the horror, you know?
I imagine their faces, just the shock of just what are you doing? We did everything for you. We set you up for your future. We took you in. We helped you get into school. And now you're holding a gun to us.
Yeah, we're waiting for college results to come back. You have apps out. What are you doing?
Right.
Anyway.
It's just heartbreaking. I'm sure that it just washed over them oh my God, we put our faith in this kid. We helped him out. We took him in and this is what goes on. This is how it ends up. It doesn't make any sense. So Beth and Robin either sincerely didn't keep money around the house, or they said they didn't have money to give them. It really is unclear. We just don't know what happened, and maybe we'll find out in the trial, and maybe they won't tell us. We won't know. But either way, the money that Khari and Elijah expected to get was not available to them. Beth and Robin did not give it up. Once they didn't give them the money, Khari basically forced the couple into their own van that they had lent to him.
Ungrateful.
I know.
Ugh.
The teens drove the couple to the Arboretum and forced them out of the van at the intersection of Arboretum Drive and North Wingra Drive. Khari shot them both in the back of the head with a .357 Glock at very close range. Beth was also shot in the shoulder, either because she was moving and trying to run, or because Khari was possibly just shaking nervously and he missed the intended target. Once he had shot both of them in the head, the teens left Miriam's parents just lying in a ditch. Around 11:15 p.m., a woman living near the Arboretum called police to report that she had heard a single gunshot, and then a pause, and then 4 or 5 more gunshots just moments later. Khari and Elijah left the Arboretum and drove back to the neighborhood of the Air BnB that Beth and Robin had rented for them.
Ugh.
It just blows my mind. Like, my blood is boiling.
I get more pissed every time.
Yeah. On Tuesday morning, March 31st, around 6 a.m., there were 2 separate joggers in the area, and they were out running in this 30-degree weather when they separately noticed these bodies in the ditch.
That is serious addiction to jogging. 30 degrees? I'm like, that's love. But I'm like, no, that's an addict. My God, you must really enjoy jogging.
Yeah, and it's just got to be such a nightmare, you know.
Terrible.
I'm sure they have, I hope they're getting help and getting therapy, because I would have just flashbacks and all sorts of trauma and struggles to just stumble upon this gruesome scene. It's just unbearable. So they're out jogging, they find the bodies, and both of them called 911 to report that they had seen 2 bodies lying on the shoulder of the road covered in blood. Police responded to the scene and found Robin lying face down, unresponsive. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Beth was still clinging to life when first responders arrived, so they rushed her to the hospital, but just sadly she died of her injuries a short time later. It's so heartbreaking. Robin had been only 1 to 3 feet away from the shooter and was only wearing a pair of underwear and no shoes when he was found. Beth was wearing pajamas and also no shoes. Blood spatter, pooling, and shell casings were found at the scene, confirming that both victims had been shot in the ditch where they were found. Very quickly, police believed that this was not a random attack and that the couple had been targeted for murder. After the shootings, initial media reports said that one of the victims had died, but the second victim was taken to the hospital and was still alive. And of course, this sent Khari into a complete spiral. He was thinking that the survivor could identify him, or maybe Elijah could possibly rat them both out.
That would be a rough day in Khari's mind.
Yeah, he was just in a tizzy thinking that, oh, this is it. You know, someone's going to come after me because they know who I am. Khari randomly showed up at a friend from school's house, completely frantic. He began pacing and sweating heavily while explaining that he had shot and killed the 2 people. I can't imagine what was going through this friend's mind.
No. Absolutely. Okay. Keep talking?
I mean, you just open the door and he just starts spewing all this out. It's unreal.
I just vision, like, he just comes in, just singing Juicy J. Bands make her dance. I thought they had bands. Bands make her dance. Like, I just don't, I'll never get, I just say this, we'll move forward. I will never understand how a conversation in ceramics class became a murder plot. But these things happen. This is how it happens. It has to start somewhere. Why not homeroom, right? It's crazy.
Right. We've seen a lot of different cases.
Yes.
But a lot of times you still end up surprised no matter how many true crime cases you have researched, looked into, listened to, covered. It still just shocks you sometimes.
Yep.
So while he's at this friend's house, he's just pacing around, frantically gesticulating while explaining that his biggest worry was that there may be a survivor. Not that he's freaking out that he killed someone, but just the idea that someone could identify him.
Yeah, he's not worried about that.
It's just awful. The friend then overheard Khari make a phone call to Elijah. On the call, the witness heard Khari say to Elijah, quote, "I swear I hit them. How did they survive?"
Okay, he needs to stop talking out loud, first of all.
Right.
Like, go somewhere else and make these phone calls, not in front of someone.
Someone needs to duct tape his mouth closed, because this is just, what is he doing?
Yeah, not good.
The phone conversation also detailed again that he was scared one of the parents had survived and could possibly tell the tale that would implicate them. When he hung up the phone, he confessed to the friend that he had shot them both at the Arboretum, quote, "in the back of the head," revealing information that wasn't even public at that point.
This is what makes me think that once this goes to trial, we'll find out all the details. Because these two,
Right.
I mean, they told everybody. They just chat.
Yeah, I think that we're going to have a lot more information coming directly from them.
Yeah.
He then mentioned that their mutual friend, Elijah Larrue, was with Khari during the shootings. This friend went to the police and told detectives everything he could, including the information that police hadn't released yet. So they instantly know that this had to be the killer. When police notified Beth's father that she had been murdered, his very first reaction was to ask, quote, "Did Mimi's friend do it?"
Oh, that is devastating.
Yeah, just that they knew, that they immediately, the first instinct is that it was Khari.
Her dad.
Yeah, it says so much.
Yeah.
When they confirmed that Khari was indeed a suspect, her father then told police about the arguments they had in the past. When questioned, Miriam told detectives that Khari had been at the Air BnB with her at the time of the shooting, and they were just, being kids, hanging out there, and that was it. Not a care in the world. She told the officers that they had watched The Hangover 2 and that they hadn't left the Air BnB at all after around 10:15 p.m. Miriam told detectives that she loved her boyfriend Khari and that she was extremely loyal to him, which really seems very cold because her parents just died.
It's ice.
And
ice cold.
Who knows what she was saying about her parents. Of course, it's easy to pick out a quote about her boyfriend and not them. Maybe she was acting distraught. I don't know. But it seems like you don't really need to say that. Just tell them the alibi, let them try and confirm it, leave it at that, and mourn your parents. If you're really trying to defend your boyfriend and say how loyal and how much you love him and how great he is, it makes him look like more of a suspect.
Yeah, not good.
Police interviewed Khari and Elijah, who were aware that Khari's friend had already told police that he had confessed to the killings. Simple investigation into Khari's cell phone GPS data showed that he had been driving Beth's van near the victim's home, then to the Arboretum where the bodies were found. There's just a direct link. You can just follow them and know that they picked them up at the house and drove them out to the murder site. There's
and they
no
have
two
no
ways around
reason to be at the Arboretum. No reason.
Not at all.
You're not driving by it. We're not getting Postmates. And they're bringing Postmates to you. Why are you near the Arboretum?
Right. When Elijah allowed police to check his phone, his GPS data showed that he was also in a vehicle that circled Beth's house multiple times, then traveled to the Arboretum the night of the murders.
Shocking.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Both of them were there. You can totally confirm it. It's just unbelievable to me that they didn't think about this, that this was just, yeah.
Yep.
This is disturbing. The van was also seen on various surveillance videos driving through the area of Beth and Robin's home and then at the Arboretum. And this was all happening at the times in question when the murders were taking place. And of course, examination of Miriam and Khari's phones revealed that they were texting each other the entire time that they were supposedly at the Air BnB watching a movie together, according to Miriam's alibi provided for Khari.
Yeah, they were watching The Hangover too. Bangkok has him now, right? That's what they told us. Yeah, I remember. Oh, okay.
So the text exchange just clearly proved that Miriam's story that they were at the Air BnB watching the movie at the time of the murders just wasn't true in any way, shape, or form. They would not be texting each other, and the content of the text would not be what it was if they were together. So while they were supposedly at home together, according to her story, at 11:02 p.m., she was texting Khari, quote, "At least bring the car back and have someone get you from here. I don't feel safe here." Another text reads, quote, "Why would you put me in this position?" At the same time of that text exchange, Elijah's phone pinged his location at the Arboretum. So she was texting with him at the time that he was murdering her parents.
Yeah, and they weren't supposed to have left after 10:15.
Oh, unreal. At 11:22, Miriam texted a friend that, quote, Huncho, which was Elijah's nickname, had gotten to the apartment and that he had, quote, got into a situation. 4 minutes later, she writes to the friend again. This time she says, quote, "I want to cry right now, but I'm also in an apartment with them. It's literally 2.5 rooms, so that is fun."
Oh, you're having fun? You're having a great time? Ugh.
It's just...
Yeah, I know.
Can't imagine.
I know. Just keep going. It's just, we will never be able to reconcile this.
It just doesn't make sense
No.
in my head. I know she's just talking like a typical teenager, like nothing just happened, when her parents were just murdered by her boyfriend. How do you have this kind of conversation?
She's young.
Via text.
They're young and dumb, and like that's what we'll say, because there's nothing else that we will be okay with, so they're young and dumb.
And even at that age, I just can't imagine a world where this happens to me.
I know.
And I don't just immediately leave the apartment, even walk somewhere to a neighbor's house or something and say, I need to call 911. I need to be somewhere safe.
Something.
This
anything.
murder just happened and I need to get the authorities. I can't imagine just casually texting my friend in an annoyed teenage attitude kind of way.
Yeah.
It will never compute with me. A neighbor living in the neighborhood of the Air BnB told police that they had seen 2 people disposing of items in a wooded area nearby. When police investigated this claim, they found crumpled pieces of mail that were addressed to Beth. There was also a cell phone that had been obviously broken and then left there. Eventually, the friend from ceramics class also came forward to tell the police about the conversation overheard about Miriam's rich parents. On Friday, April 3rd, around 11:20 p.m., Khari and Elijah were arrested. Both of them were taken to Dane County Jail and held on $1 million bail each. The working theory from prosecutors is that this started as a burglary and then became a kidnapping that ended in murder.
It's a pretty good theory.
Yes. Khari's first court appearance was through Zoom, with him peering through a slot in his cell door wearing a mask. When asked if he could hear the proceedings, he gave a thumbs up, but he never spoke. It was decided that Khari and Elijah would have separate trials. Because Khari was so well known within the community as this really good kid and a standout football star, many community leaders reached out to his attorney, offering any help or support for him that they could.
Gross.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it's gross.
It just makes no sense to me. And I know that he had overcome a lot. I know that he had a promising future, but that doesn't change the fact that he murdered people in cold blood just for the possibility of getting money.
He took his own future from himself. So
absolutely,
you don't need to do anything because he's already destroyed it for himself. So we don't need you to try to fix something that he already broke.
This was all his responsibility, and these are his consequences. And he'd experienced things before, trouble with the law, trouble with parents, either his foster parents, biological parents, Miriam's parents. I mean, he's just continuing to make these mistakes to the point of now people have lost their lives. He's just keeps escalating. And we really shouldn't be trying to rescue him from his behavior when he's continued to do this and make mistakes over and over again.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of teenagers that make mistakes. There's a difference between sneaking out of your house or sneaking a few drinks and murdering 2 people in cold blood.
Your girlfriend's parents.
It just, yeah, I can understand wanting to help out a kid that just made a mistake, a football star, and he's normally on the straight and narrow, but you know what? He was drunk and disorderly at a party or whatever. That's a little bit different. That's a lot of it different.
Yeah.
Shop Kohl's Cyber Deal Days. Plus, take an extra 20% off. Save on athletic shoes for the family, $39.99 and under. Diamond pendants and earrings are $35.99. And get 50 to 60% off cuddle beds for the home. Plus, fast and free store pickup. Shop Cyber Deal Days at Kohl's and Kohl's.com.
Select styles, 20% offer valid November 28th through December 2nd with promo code 20OFF. Athletic shoes, offers, and coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
With Metro and the best deal in wireless, whatever your goal, however you hustle, you can rule your day. Get 2 lines with 5G access included for just $35 a month per line, period. With taxes and regulatory fees always included, so you know exactly how much you pay every month. All on America's largest 5G network at no extra charge. Plus, at Metro, get the latest 5G phones, like a Samsung Galaxy, for less than $100 when you switch. That's the best deal in wireless, so you can take control of your day wherever it takes you. Metro by T-Mobile, empowering you to rule your day. Requires autopay. First month is $40 per line for 2 lines. Samsung A51 requires port from eligible carrier and ID validation limited to 2 per account. Coverage not available in some areas. See metrobytmobile.com or store for details.
Khari's attorney, Andrew Martinez, says, quote, "I urge everyone to keep an open mind about the case." And this is incredibly disturbing to me because I don't know what you want me to keep an open mind about. It just, is he trying to say that this was possibly like a justifiable homicide? Like he was defending himself or something? He shot 2 unarmed, naked people in a ditch that had previously given him shelter, support, encouragement. I mean, there's just no way for me to have an open mind about that. There's nothing you can say that will make me feel like this was justified.
No, it's either going to be that Elijah did it, or, you know, keep it open, that somehow the Potter or Beth and Robin had started it themselves. But it's going to, you know, on Khari's end, oh, Elijah did it. On Elijah's end, it's going to be, oh, Khari did it, you know?
Right.
So.
Absolutely. Elijah's attorney, Michael Covey, says that Elijah, quote, didn't have any kind of knowledge in any way, shape, or form that there was going to be a shooting or a homicide. He was absolutely in the vicinity of the shooting when it occurred, but by that time he was not in control of what was going on.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, I know we'll find out more, and this is one of the things that's very difficult about covering cases that haven't gone to trial and don't have a conclusion, and we don't have access to all this extra evidence. But there is part of me that's kind of on this bandwagon that, you know, I think Khari possibly just called Elijah and said, oh, I need a second person to kind of strong arm these people. And he had no idea that Khari would escalate to this. You know, obviously Elijah wasn't the one to pull the trigger, and it just seems like possibly he just had no idea. But we'll see. Time will tell. We'll find out more, and we'll definitely follow up. But I tend to kind of think that that was probably the scenario.
Okay, we'll go with it. So, Elijah's the muscle. That's fine. But I think, and this is just my opinion, that he probably told Elijah, hey, we're going to rob them. If they don't give us them, we'll do something. We'll kidnap them, we'll pistol whip them, whatever. I'll give you some of the money, but I need you to help me control them, especially the husband, just in case he gets crazy. But I'll give you money. Don't worry about it. So it's like, you know, you're there to do some, you know, controlling of the situation. And if that situation gets out of control, how do you regain control? So it's like, again, this is another young and dumb. Oh, it sounds like a good idea. I don't even have to do anything. I just have to be there. Khari will take care of it. He might not have even told him everything. I see what you're saying.
Right.
But I'm also like, you know exactly what you're doing there. You drove with him in a van to the parents' house. You could have just stayed in the baller-ass Air BnB ordering Postmates with our friend. I mean, seriously, they had no reason to drive over there. So,
yeah, you're right. I mean, it is what now that I think about it.
No. I see both sides. I completely see it totally. He could be just a kid that's like, yeah, okay, let's go. And he didn't say anything. But he was a big dude, and he brought him for a reason.
There's something in me that thinks that, I don't know, he may have not given him the full story. And he was just like, oh, they've been giving us shit. Or maybe he was like, oh, well, you know, they said that they would give us money for food, and I'm going to go and pick up our weekly food money or whatever. There's part of me that thinks that something like that happened, you know. But you're right. If he was there because he was supposed to be the muscle, then he knew that he was doing the wrong thing. We all know that's not the right thing to do. And we know that those situations can escalate. And he has to take some responsibility for that because he was there. And he let it escalate. He could have at any point said, Khari, you can't do that. Put the fucking gun away. Let's go. But he didn't.
And in the 11:22 p.m. Miriam and Khari text messages, or text between the friends, she says Elijah, quote, got into a situation. So, like, there's way more to this. There's way more. But I'm with you. We can talk about it all.
I know. I feel bad because
I know you
it's
feel
all
bad.
speculation
You always
right
feel
now.
bad. I know. But
it's my natural state is feeling bad. But yeah, I think, you know, we've got to do a follow-up on this one when there's more information. Because there's definitely more to the story, you know.
Yes.
Khari and Elijah are both charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and they're facing life in prison. Miriam has not been charged with any crime, which is interesting to me because I feel like at minimum there should be obstruction of justice or something like that.
They
Seems a little
probably
strange.
want conspiracy, but can't get it. until the text messages, if there's emails, conversations from school, they're going to do the background. They'll do that legwork and find out that, yeah, there's all this stuff leading up to it. You know there is. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This is inevitable. And I just can't believe that, like, kids this young aren't thinking about things like surveillance camera, Google pinging, maps, and, all this stuff. I mean, they have grown up in this time. I could see somebody our age, the guy from last week, David Anthony, he's an idiot, but, like, not thinking about security cameras and stuff. But, I mean, the cloud, hello, like, McFly. In the whole time you've been alive, there's been a cloud, there's been this stuff. It's not like, when we had cassette tapes and, you have to think about that, right? No, this is totally, it just makes no sense. There's going to be a paper trail. They're texting the entire time they're doing this.
Yeah, it is absolutely baffling to me that they didn't think about cameras and they didn't think about cell phone records and GPS.
Yes, I agree.
It really doesn't make sense
Crazy.
for, anybody that's, our generation or younger that wouldn't think about those things.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
again, it's not like I'm rooting for them to get away with it, but it's just always so baffling to me that people don't understand that they think they'll just fly under the radar when they're leaving little breadcrumbs everywhere. Makes no sense.
None.
Khari's mother started a GoFundMe to raise $100,000 for her son's bail money, but the page was removed for violating standards after raising only $375. On the page, Rosetta said that Khari wanted justice for Beth and Robin, the two people he says he viewed as his parents and had played a vital role in his life. He is described as, quote, a very caring, sweet, and loving Teddy who wouldn't hurt, let alone murder, any human being. And it seems like, everybody that supports Khari really is denying that the evidence even exists, because there's obviously video, GPS, cell phone records, all this stuff that it just proves that he was there and he did this. And people don't want to hear it if they support him.
100%. They just do not even take it into account. Fake news, No, can't be real. Like, that's all it is. That's how they're looking at it.
That's my least favorite phrase.
Oh, God, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to say it. But it just applies. Oh, continue.
So, on a side note, Wisconsin has a truth in bail requirement, meaning there's no 10% bond, and the bail is actually the full $1 million. So they would need $900,000 more than that $100,000 GoFundMe that they asked for.
I thought that was an interesting tidbit, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's ask for $100,000, even though the state doesn't even, it's like, this is not for bail. Side note.
Right.
Just, that was something I caught on to. Continue.
Madison Police Chief Kristen Roman said, quote, it was calculated, cold-blooded, and senseless. We will continue to do all we can to get justice for Robin and Beth, their family, and their loved ones. A friend and a 20-year patient of Beth's named Richard Kilmer said that, quote, it's such a terrible waste of these beautiful people.
Yeah.
UW Department of Family Medicine and Community Health created the Beth Potter and Robin Carr Memorial Fund after the murders. They would like to raise $100,000 for the fund and an additional $15,000 for a commemorative tree, memorial bench, and a stainless steel leaf that will hang on a trellis that connects the native plant garden to the Longnecker Gardens, all to remember Beth in the arboretum she loved so much. other money raised will support the Beth Potter Scholarship for Department of Family Medicine and Community Health, enabling chief residents to attend leadership training focused on wellness and resiliency in Beth's honor.
I think that's a very fitting tribute.
It is really beautiful that they're trying to accomplish some things to just carry on her legacy and ensure that future students and future doctors are still aware of the way that she touched people and the way that she affected her patients' lives, you know?
Yeah. This
It's
one
just
is really just
so
like,
sad.
Yeah, we're both at the same time. It's just senseless, just sad. And I know that everybody, nobody has experienced what we're going through right now with the pandemic. And I do think that there are a lot of young people, teenagers, their entire life just got upended. And when you're a teenager, your life is the only one that matters. It's your world. Everyone else just lives here. And so for this to be happening, maybe, you're a high school senior, the college, it all just ended. Everything and you don't know when it's coming back. And I can't imagine what that does to you. But there is no reason good enough to kill your parents.
It's unbelievable.
And I don't know if there's an angle to, I don't want it. It's like, I know she was adopted. I don't know at what age she was adopted. But I don't know if, maybe there's some sort of like a compartmentalization with that. Who knows? Because the way that she also, was speaking to Beth in the end is like, you don't even talk to me. You don't even pay attention to me. And it's like, it seems that Beth was trying and this girl is just kind of fading away into the background. She's into her boyfriend. She's too cool for her parents now. She's a teenage girl. But, man, I don't know. It's just interesting, too, that he's in foster care, kind of a broken home. She's adopted, and they found each other. And the two boys, their biological children are with family. And God, that's just, I can't even imagine. Your adopted sister's boyfriend murdered your parents. God damn, where do you go from there?
I know.
Therapy. You go straight to your therapist's office. That's where.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope those boys are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are. Their mother was a stellar doctor. So.
Yeah, I would imagine that, the family that they come from, the other people around them and loved ones would encourage them to seek out the healing that they need. Wow. But yeah, there's got to be some bonding that happens because Khari and Miriam definitely don't have the exact same story, but have that disconnection where there is some separation from their biological parents. And that's not something that commonly kids go through. So if you're a teenager and you meet someone right at your own age that's went through the same thing and, you both think each other are cute, you're kind of going to gravitate towards each other, you know? So, I think there was probably a really strong bond there, but then they both kind of just went off the rails, and went on to this path of really acting out some awful things. And I think this is just incredibly, like you said, senseless, and it's disturbing that they had went after people that had supported them. And essentially for both of them, for Miriam and Khari, they had taken them in, provided them with a good life, and were trying to help instill this driven, good work ethic to achieve their goals and go for their dreams and get into a good school. And both of them turned around and were so cold and calculated and only cared about money and their own needs. And it just, I understand that this pandemic is really hard on kids and teenagers that want to be social, and it's the most social time of your life and you really want to be with your peers, but there's just nothing that excuses this extreme violence. I can understand being a little bit rebellious or being maybe, sinking into a depression, acting out in certain ways, but they both from the very beginning were clearly going above and beyond when it came to rebellion. They did not give a fuck. They were extremely disrespectful. And then it just got worse and worse. And Beth and Robin were giving them more and more slack, more and more freedom, and they still kept escalating and saying, we're not satisfied with that. We want more. And that will just never make sense to me.
No. And then there's also this other angle where, both of the attorneys are like, you'll see what happens. There could be more information, right? The other information is going to be, what was Miriam telling Khari? Because the way they word it is, there's more to come out. Basically implying like she's telling him, hey, off my parents, like get your boyfriend to kill your parents, and then you just never did anything. And she hasn't even been charged with a crime. Nothing pending, nothing at all. And I'm not saying that she, built him up and told him to murder her parents or anything. But I have a feeling his attorneys and Elijah's are going to explore that angle heavily. And if there was anything that she ever said that could have been misinterpreted or taken to say, like, hey, hurt my parents, fuck them up, anything. Hey, they got money, we should take them. Something, she's done. She is done. They are going to hang this shit, and they'll get her on conspiracy. But, I mean, again, we don't know. It's all pending, but this will be very interesting to see where it goes. I have a feeling it's going to take some time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with everything going on, I think that this will take a little while to go to trial, and I think we don't really have the ability to have the information until that happens.
Yeah.
But I would be really surprised if more didn't come out about her involvement and if she didn't get some sort of charges, because I know in my gut that she knew what was going on.
Well, there's also the angle of the fact that she could just say, all right, I'll testify against both of them. Give me immunity. And, I'm so loyal to my boyfriend. Might not be as loyal as she thought in the goddamn police station, right? But I'm telling you, like, all of a sudden, she will have a lot to say. Whether it's, I had nothing to do with it, or I had everything to do with it, and you can't get me. Like, I don't know, this feels weird. Something's going to come out.
Of course. Yeah, this is still an open case, and it's still all, quote unquote, allegedly, even though we know exactly what happened through all the records. But there's still going to be more. There's definitely going to be more.
Yes.
So, maybe by the next time that we get to letter Q, we'll have a whole recap episode or something.
Sounds great. I would hope.
For all these cases.
Yeah, I would hope so.
So on that note, I guess, it could be time to get out of here. Do you have anything that you wanted to bring up or
the only thing that I can think of right now is on HBO. It started on Sunday, Murder on Middle Beach, on a Connecticut murder mystery that we don't really know yet where it's going to go. I really like it. I watched the first 2 episodes. They're available to stream on HBO. And no, we're not sponsored by HBO. And the next 2 episodes are going to be the next coming Sundays. But it's good. So far, it's good. I'm liking it. That's all I got.
It's definitely been on my list.
Okay,
and
good.
I'm glad you said that, because I was like, oh, if it's not good, I'm going to... Anyway, it's been on my list, and I want to get to it. And again, I feel like I say this a lot, but I'm just in one of those spaces where... it's just everything is so overwhelming and sad right now that I need to not consume too much true crime.
Oh, what do you
mean? But I will get to it.
Come on.
I'm trying to fill my brain with as much baking shows and holiday stuff and comedy.
Okay.
Just so I can offset the pandemic depression that has just settled in my life.
Oh, yeah. It's just lingering heavily.
Yeah.
The other thing I did find, and this is just stupid, mindless entertainment. Buddy versus Christmas, everyone. It is real. And I still don't even understand the title. Why would Buddy be fighting versus Christmas? Like, why is Buddy going to be better? Theoretically, Buddy versus Christmas, one is better than the other. Personally, Christmas wins. But Buddy's going to try to fight Christmas. When somebody told me what this was called, I just looked at her and went, versus Christmas? How does that work? And I'm going to tell you right now, the show makes no damn sense, okay? Watch the first episode and just go, okay. and see if you stick around for the second one. I'm going to try it. I'm going to give number 2 a try, but Buddy versus Christmas. Give it a shot.
Okay.
It's interesting. He had a horrific injury over summer with, they have a bowling, oh my God, the bowling alley in their house, and the pin thing just smashed his hand over, and his son had to like stick something in there to stop the machine. Oh, it was horrific. Google it. It was bad. But it was great.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, I'm like delirious. Buddy versus Christmas, Murder on Middle Beach.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to check them out. I'm going to do it.
I'm glad.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's it from me. Before we get out of here, we'll just remind you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to get updates about new episodes and memes and true crime facts and all the good stuff. If you want to read more about this case or check where we got our information from, you can look up the links to the resources that we used. And we have links to things like suicide hotlines, 12-step programs, Trevor projects, anti-bullying campaigns, a bunch of resources like that if you want to access those links in our show notes. We've got merch on Threadless, and patreon.com/Murder Dictionary Podcast is where you can support the show to get ad-free episodes, bonus episodes, early release episodes, and all that good stuff. So we want to thank, before we get out of here, the people that are new on our Patreon. So thank you to Kelly, Penelope, Joseph, and Marsha. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being on our Patreon. We hope that everybody is having a great holiday season. And we will see you next time for our last Q for Quarantine episode.
Be safe.
Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Shop Kohl's Cyber Deal Days. Plus, take an extra 20% off. Save on athletic shoes for the family, $39.99 and under. Diamond pendants and earrings are $35.99. And get 50 to 60% off cuddle beds for the home. Plus, fast and free store pickup. Shop Cyber Deal Days at Kohl's and Kohl's.com.
Select styles 20% offer valid November 28th through December 2nd with promo code 20OFF. Athletic shoes, offers, and coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Skiing, riding, sledding, winter biking, winter hiking.
No matter how you Vermont, please Vermont safely.
Cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, snowman building.
This year, that means a 7-day home quarantine with a negative COVID-19 test or a 14-day home quarantine with no symptoms to visit.
Snowball fighting, ice skating, ice climbing, ice fishing, ice cream eating.
So we can all Vermont safely this year.
Dining, craft beering.
Talk to your favorite inner resort about smart travel suggestions, reservation policies, and the best way to Vermont this winter.
Hot cocoaing, antiquing, shopping, fireside napping.
For full COVID-19 travel guidance, visit VermontVacation.com.